Hello and welcome everyone to today's News Tonight, the weeknight news show where we're joined by special guests and our lovely patrons to discuss the day's gaming news. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by my good friends and GVG co-founders, Steve Bowling and Ash Paulson. How you guys doing today?
It's a Monday.
I apologize. I'm all messy. I was telling Derek this before the show started, but Square sent me a copy of Final Fantasy XIV. So,
and Ash.
Yeah, we all have
Both
Final
of us,
Fantasy
yeah.
XIV now, courtesy of our friends at Square Enix. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And I just lost track of time. I was designing my character, having a real good time, and then
I'm like, he's already addicted. Yes.
Yep. two minutes to showtime. So, I will be hopping right off of this and back into Final Fantasy XIV when we're
Well, technically, no. That's
true.
the shame about this, is that by the time we finish this, at least if we include the post show that we typically do, the servers go down at 9 o'clock my time, 6 o'clock you guys' time, so Pacific, because they're preparing for the 5.5 content, so it's going to go down until about 3 a.m. your time.
So I actually have mine downloading right now, and I might have to duck out of the post show just so I can complete the sign-up process before that cutoff time. We'll see.
I mean, you should still be
goes.
fine for the morning and getting it all done then. But
You think so?
Yeah, I think. I mean, why would you be restricted? That's just my question.
The key, for those of you wondering about the timing, is that we have the PS5 beta coming tomorrow, so we'd all like to check that out and do something on the channel for it. We'll keep you updated. I mean, at minimum, Derek's definitely going to get it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, the thing is,
Yeah.
I don't actually own the PS5 version. I play off PC. So what we might do is have Amy show off the PS5 version, because that's what she's done.
Nice.
And the funny thing is, she's the farthest out of all of us. It's like she's into Heaven's
I love
Ward
it.
content. So I might just equip recruit Amy and be like, okay, record a video. What changes do you notice? How does
we
it
go.
load? How are you feeling about it? How's it look? That sort of thing, and just have her record it and make that a video.
Right.
So there you
And
go.
a couple of you might be wondering what happened to our Resident Evil Reverse stream. What happened was that it was down, and then when it was up, we checked it, and it was already over.
I know. Every time we
yeah.
went to be able to take a look, it was down. I didn't get the chance to play it at all.
Same.
Yeah, I will say this, because I did play it, but it was, I had downloaded it, I set it up, I tried multiple times to get in, and it was always down. I had one, 20-minute window where it was working, and so I played 2 or 3 matches, and it's definitely interesting, but I'm not sure, who it's for. I played as Leon Kennedy. Each character has different moves and skills. The only thing I will say is that I really like that when you die, you become a bio monster, and the monster you turn into depends on how many vials of the virus. They don't tell you if it's the G or the T or which variant of the virus. They just say you got a virus capsule, and if you collect more, you become a more powerful bio monster. So you can become Nemesis, you can become Mr. X, or you can become one of the random chainsaw guys from RE4, which those seem a little more out of place because you turn into somebody who looks objectively human. But it was cool. It just wasn't I don't know that it would be my game of choice to pick up for a good multiplayer session, but it was interesting. I'm going to take another look at it when it comes out of beta, but obviously they probably need another round of beta because this one didn't go very well.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it went very well, considering we weren't able to stream it at all.
Yeah.
We tried.
They'll probably announce another round during the showcase this week, which we will be streaming, by the way. We will be streaming.
When is that? I actually completely forgot about that whole thing.
It's Thursday, I believe, at 3 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, yes.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. A lot of fun stuff coming up. But I should also mention, before we get too far into this, because I already kind of forgot, got me all excited about you guys playing 14. This episode is brought to you by the wonderful Game Orb. The Game Orb is a fledgling channel focused mostly on Nintendo content, and it's currently running Let's Plays of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Splatoon 2, Smash Ultimate, Super Mario, well, not at 35 anymore, unless you want to watch their old content, showing what it was like in the times before Mario was, when Mario was alive and Pac-Man had not yet supplanted him. Either way, there's a lot more as well to check out at the Game Orb. So be sure to subscribe to the Game Orb at the link in the description. And of course, they also want to promote their friend's YouTube channel, Galactic Reaper, which we'll have links to in the description. Now, last time we actually managed to get them to 200 subs. Let's see where we're at now. 209.
Yep.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. So we're working towards 250 now. We got that new goal there, and I like seeing this progress. I really like seeing this progress. Even Galactic Reaper is crawling towards 50. So
they actually did just upload still new Mario 35 content 5 days ago. So they've got, I guess, some stuff they recorded and are holding back. So that is still accurate. We don't have updated copy from them, but that is still accurate. They got new Mario 35 content on the channel, as well as the latest part of their Unboxed Newbies Adventure playthrough, and also a new Breath of the Wild video. So go ahead and check that out, please. And
very
subscribe
active
to
channel.
Game Orb and Galactic Reaper. Yeah,
they're great folks. Thank you so much for supporting us. Really, it means the world to us. I also want to say welcome to Super Dank Awesome Unicorn Guy, who I believe I saw join the Patreon just a couple days ago. So welcome to TNT Live. We're glad to have you here.
I love that name.
That's a great name. Thank you so much for your support, Super Dank Awesome Unicorn Guy. I love it. And you have to say the whole thing every time, obviously. But no, thank you so much for your support. It means the world to us. And that, of course, also extends to the Game Orb for their incredibly generous sponsorship. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to going back to 14 real quick, because you guys got me all excited. I'm so curious what kind of characters you guys are going to be creating and what classes you're going to be choosing. Because I know Steve has already decided on He's going Dragon Boy, and we'll see what.
Man, I have no idea what I'm gonna. I hate character creators because I take way too much time sliding this into. It's gonna be a while, but I got to figure something out.
I will give you this. I think that they have a wonderfully streamlined character creation process. Like
okay.
It's not as granular as some other games, but I think that that's okay because, like you, Ash, I tend to waffle once I have all these like sliders and buttons in front of me.
Oh yeah, if it was like manually just how big your nose is or where your eyebrows are at, that'd be awful. I was just like too much. But no, it's more like here's some presets.
They do a great job letting you mix and match preset options. So like
that's cool.
It took me maybe 25 minutes to get through the character creator, but that's because I was being very picky and like fiddling with colors and stuff like that, and going back.
Colors is where you'll get your most.
My history with character creators is I think the last time I used one was the Mass Effect series, and I played as default male Shepard. That was my history with a character creator. I tried to make a cool looking Shepard before settling on the default male Shepard, but I was like, nothing I can make looks anywhere near as cool or even anywhere as not unattractive as just the default male Shepard. So let's just go with that.
I mean, I think it's almost impossible to make an unattractive Final Fantasy 14 character. So
okay, cool.
I think you're set there. Really, the first thing you got to decide on is: do you want a human, an elf, a Lalafell, which tiny little guy,
right?
Tall guys with the Rogadin. You want you want to be a cat boy, and then you got the expansions, and thanks to Square you already have access to the expansions. So you got the dragons, and you got
I'm already paralyzed. Too
more
much.
Beast Catman. You can be a Vera from Final Fantasy 12, although that's female only.
Right. I'm already got the paralysis of analysis, as they say. It's too many choices already. I'm probably, I don't want to get too many hopes up. I'll probably go for something fairly basic, DPS based, something that people aren't going to have to rely too much on me to carry anybody or anything like that. So yeah.
Eddie Beals in the chat says even the elderly characters in Final Fantasy 14 are a bunch of snacks. Which
are a bunch of snacks.
I don't know how to feel about that.
I mean, they're not entirely wrong.
You do you, Eddie Beal. You do you.
Well, I mean, if I have to, design a character who's going to look like a snack, that's just life imitating art, or art imitating life.
Oh, boy. It'll be fun to see what classes and stuff you guys choose, but it'll be a while till we can really play together because you're not going to have, cool, you're not going to have duties or stuff like that. I can, give you stuff. I can like craft some things for you depending on your class. Maybe Amy's probably better for that, but we'll see how it goes. Either way, though, that's 14. That's getting updated tonight. PS5 beta is coming up tomorrow. All kinds of fun stuff. But let's go ahead and jump into our news topics and jump right off the bat on one that we just didn't get a chance to talk about last time because we went really late.
Nice. Here we go.
All right. First up, this is from the 9th. The Yetee has announced Stop AAPI Hate Mystery Item Collection. Basically, just a set of mystery items that you can pick up and will equally donate between AAL Def, Stop AAPI Hate, and Asian Pacific Fund. Basically, all stuff to support, this whole stupid rise of anti-Asian sentiment, which is really freaking dumb. So, hey.
To put it for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. But you can, get a cool shirt, support all this stuff, because 100% of the sales go to that, to the 3 different organizations. By the way, it's AAPI is Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Actually, that's the other one, but either way.
So the 3 organizations are the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, Stop AAPI Hate, and Asian Pacific Fund. So
right.
Nice.
all the proceeds are going to those 3 organizations to help, stem the tide of course, anti-Asian hate that is unforgivably, well, it shouldn't be any of it at all ever, but risen unforgivably in the wake of COVID. So anything you can do to support such a great cause, we highly recommend you do, and you get a great T-shirt out of it. So
I was gonna say,
there you go.
The Yetee makes awesome shirts.
Yeah,
I
they do.
love their products. I have a Super Famicom style Dreamcast shirt that they made. Like it's the
Nice.
Dreamcast, but it's that Japanese Super Famicom like colorful line art. One of my favorite shirts I own. Oddly enough, not oddly enough, I haven't worn it on TNT because I am just too damn fat now to fit into it. But I'm once I shed some pounds, I will wear that shirt on the show. You don't want to see it today; it would scar you forever. But please support a great cause and get a great shirt. Honestly, it's a win-win. I can't think of a shirt in their lineup that I wouldn't wear.
Right. Yeah. No, Yetee's great. And on that note, this doesn't have to do with what Yetee's doing, but if any of you live in areas that have local businesses owned by, like local Asian-owned businesses, support them as much as you can. Just go out of your way to support people who are, suffering under these grave injustices that are being committed because of this damn pandemic. And so anything you can do.
Asian markets were like the best place to get food when the pandemic first started, just because regular stores were taken up so much. So it's like, oh, hey, Asian markets, those are an option, and nobody seems to realize this. So
right.
Oh yeah, I went to a Korean supermarket that's right near my house called H Mart. It's a big chain, I believe. Oh yeah. And man, they are the best. Like they have
H Mart's great.
All the stuff you'd expect at like a Western owned supermarket. Plus like bulgogi sauces, like pre-cut meat. They usually have like a cafe inside with awesome coffee and bread. Like I love Korean supermarkets. I could live in one.
They're great, aren't they? Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's any around us, but
yeah, I think
check it out.
I think it's like I don't know. I think it's the closer you are. I don't know how it exists here, honestly. Like Arizona is a shithole, but I would say like the closer you are to like a major metropolitan area, the better chances you have of finding shops like that. But right. I mean, look around. You'd be surprised, right? Like it's not like the coastal cities have a monopoly on Asian people living there. Asian people live everywhere, so
right.
If even if you don't think there's one, because I honestly didn't think there was one near me. It wouldn't hurt to check.
Do a Google.
Yeah.
Check it out on Google.
Exactly.
And don't be a dick. That's really all it comes down to.
Dick. Jacob Yu says the hoops you have to jump through to justify hate like this is absurd. Like seriously, COVID has nothing to do with them. Obviously, that's true, and I would simplify that to the hoops you have to jump through to justify hate. Period. Is absurd. There's never any justification for it.
I mean, these are the people who got freaked out and decided not to get Corona beer.
Jesus, I remember that.
So
That
Oh
is true.
man,
I forgot
I
about
remember that.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway,
mean,
and anything
how
How
you
can
all
you
can
really
do out there,
Can you really go against Dominique Toretto like that? Do you really think he'd hurt you?
right? Yeah. But no, thank you all. Anything you can do to help our
Jared Edinger said, "I think the mystery certs aren't available anymore." So, sorry, I guess that's I didn't realize it was going for so short.
Oh, me
but,
either.
But they checked the site and they did raise basically $34,000 through this. So that's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's fantastic.
That's basically
And yeah, as we
$11K to
said,
each
we
of
were-
those charities. That's great.
That's fantastic. And as you said, we were originally going to report on this story on Friday. We just went really late.
I
we
thought it would last
realized that
longer,
it-
honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
But,
That's
yeah.
unfortunate.
But hey, as Adam Davis says, still not a waste of a story because Asian support preaching. Hell yeah. There you
Yep.
go.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right. Speaking of things that I guess were maybe a little late to get to, I saw this and I didn't realize it was an April Fool's joke, but let's go ahead and bring up that story. So a fan mod has been released, or at least shown off, called The Legend of Zelda Winds of Time, which merges the Wind Waker's art style with Ocarina of Time. According to them, it's just an April Fool's joke for now, but a mod pack could be coming someday. Which I watched the trailer for this. I don't know if you guys have yet, but it's fantastic. I really like this.
Awesome.
Plus, they have as part of this mod, they have playable Malon. Like they have Malon using the sword and shield, running around and fighting. It's pretty great.
I would be more than happy to replay Ocarina of Time yet again for like the 100 millionth time in this art style. Are you kidding me? This
it looks
so cool.
really good.
Yeah,
Man,
even the font, the typeface in the dialogue boxes is straight out of Wind Waker, and I love it.
You know what I can't help but think, though? I look at this. I'm watching the trailer along with our audience as we're talking about this, and I think I would love it if we got a remake of Ocarina of Time that for Kid Link used this exact art style, and then when you pulled the sword from the Temple of Time, it went to Breath of the Wild art style.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting. Or maybe like they could do like a more refined version of Twilight Princess's art style.
I was going to say that would be. I would like I was going to say Twilight Princess, but I have key issues with Twilight Princess's art style as it exists. So I'm with you in that it would need to be further refined, like get rid of all the bloom. maybe let the world be something other than brown. But yeah, I agree that would be a really striking thing to do. Just have you pull the sword out of the stone and then everything's kind of, closer to photorealism. Because that would be just, oh my god.
So this mod was created by Big Shark Z. Apparently created over the course of 2 weeks and originally planned to be nothing more than a showcase. However, because of all the positive feedback, they're actually going to go for it. So it says, while it is not a full or brand new game, all that was showcased here will someday be made available in the form of a mod pack. This video was made in 2 weeks with very little sleep as a proof of concept to show that some of what can be done with Wind Waker modding. However, please understand that this is a very large amount of work for a single person. Over 100 hours were spent working on this, for example, and that my free time is often limited, so it will take a while to have a proper release, especially when I have many other projects in the works. And you don't want to release it until it's done because, well, Nintendo.
Right. Yeah.
But honestly, this just sort of shows to me that for old, Zelda remakes, like if they ever remade the original Legend of Zelda or Zelda 2, the Wind Waker style would work pretty well and still maintain that sort of feel for it. Because that's what Miyamoto said back in the days when they envisioned the original Legend of Zelda, that Wind Waker Link is how they envisioned it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it would be really cool to see. I mean, I don't know how Nintendo hasn't remade these games themselves yet, which is almost ridiculous to think about. But I do really, really love this idea. I would love to see this. I would wait for this. Man, just I still wonder how he's going to handle the change to Adult Link, because it is built. You can tell very readily that it was built on top of Wind Waker, not Ocarina. So it's not like he reskinned Ocarina, which means that, man, that's got to be a lot more work. Because you're adding a lot of mechanics and a lot of things that weren't present in Wind Waker. So I don't know how you do it, but I'm here for it, man. I wish Nintendo would just pick up this idea and give this guy the resources he needs to do it. Or just,
Yeah, right. We
honestly,
wish.
Nintendo
I mean,
just steal it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be overstated just how long it's probably going to take for this to be turned into a.
Oh, it's
full
gonna be
mod pack.
2-3 years.
Yeah,
If
but
even
I
that
mean, what we've
short.
seen so far. Yeah, I mean, who knows? But what we've seen so far is just really, really inspired and really cool stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I love this. I love seeing people do creative stuff, especially with franchises I love, like Zelda. So, hopefully we get something more out of this. But I'm glad to just see that trailer. It brought a smile to my face. That was a really great, it's an April Fool's joke that's not malicious or not messed up in any way. It's just a cool idea that somebody put out there. And
Yeah,
right.
If it turns into a game, great. If it doesn't, at least I got to see that cool trailer and imagine what an actual remake of Ocarina of Time could look like.
Right. Eddie Beals in the chat says, imagine if the public response to what you thought was a funny April Fool's joke was, no, actually do this. Well, it's funny you say that because that's kind of what happened with Yakuza Like a Dragon. That originally was kind of an April Fool's joke, and then they kind of came out after that like joke trailer with, turn-based combat and said, oh no, we're actually making this, and it's actually going to have turn-based combat now. And it turned out to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Everybody loved it.
That's precisely how they did it. And I mean, it was just absurd enough that it worked. I mean, they said it was an April Fool's joke, and then they let that simmer for a very long time. They didn't come back till, I want to say, almost 6 months later, and then announced that it was actually a game. Maybe not that long, but it definitely was,
They waited
they
a
let
decent amount of
people-
time.
Yeah, they let it ride for at least a few months.
And as Eduardo Tena mentions, Pokemon Go, I don't know if it started, but it definitely inspired by Google Maps April Fool's Day prank.
Yeah, I agree that somebody probably saw that and thought, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah,
I'm sure
play
Pokemon saw that, was like,
Yeah.
Our resident pun master, Azran127, says, to think this modder was up at every wind-waking hour to do this. It's Monday, man. You're not supposed to be dropping great puns like that on a Monday. It's too early. It's too soon in the week for that, man.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. And Japanese retail sales of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury have already surpassed the total sales of the Wii U original. So in 8 weeks, it outsold 14 months of sales
Wow.
of that. This is all according to Game Data Library on Twitter. And yeah, to date, the Wii U version of Super Mario 3D World in Japan has sold 602,000 copies. And in 8 weeks, the Bowser's Fury update has sold 620,000 copies. So
yeah, and Game Data Library adds 3D World on Switch is most likely a million seller already when factoring digital sales. But on the other hand, digital on Wii U is hardly a thing. So 600K for that version is kind of it already. Maybe like a little bit more than that, but not very much.
Chris Masterson, whoa, this graph is bad. It's not exactly easiest to read, but it gets
the point across.
It gets the point across.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. It's cool. It's interesting that this is just Japan, so I'm wondering how it's doing worldwide. Because
I mean,
good.
Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury isn't the most exciting release, but I mean, one, it's a Mario game, so a lot of people are going to pick it up on virtue of the fact that it's a Mario game. And the other thing is, it's not exciting to those of us that played 3D World before, which is, I mean, we're in the minority here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We're the fools who bought a Wii U.
Yeah, exactly. I'm working on a requested video, and I had to dig out my Wii U, and I just held up the power brick for that thing, and I was like, why?
Right.
Like, who was in the room that was like, we're gonna have 2 of these for every console? And it's just such a weird. I mean, it has its own charm to it. I still like the Wii U. But God, when you compare it to the Switch, the power brick of the Wii U is almost bigger than the Switch itself, which is just...
I know.
It's absurd.
Wasn't the 360's power brick immense, like just huge as well?
The 360 had... I think that might be the only power brick that I can remember that's... Oh, well, the OG Xbox One also had an absurdly large brick. So Microsoft just like their first rev of consoles usually are terribly designed.
Right.
You know, I would say they nailed it with the Series X, but you know that also kind of looks and feels like just an upgraded Xbox One.
Right.
But yeah, the original
Right.
Xbox One and the 360 had these hulking behemoth
Yeah.
power.
You could
power
kill somebody
bricks.
with those.
You know,
The 360 power brick was stupid. It was just
The-
it was a weapon essentially.
oh yeah, the Xbox One power brick could actually overheat. And you just couldn't
Even
like
better.
you had to unplug your Xbox for a while for the power brick to cool off enough for you to play some more games.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it just I don't get it, but I'm glad we as an industry have largely moved away from these ridiculous huge power adapters for things.
Yeah. I think the Wii U definitely deserved better, and we've all talked at length about how it could have gotten better if not for Nintendo's horrible naming and marketing. But I do think, ironically, that its greatest legacy may end up being the fact that the Wii U walked or crawled so the Switch could walk or run, however you want to say it. But I mean, the Wii U is essentially a prototype Switch in terms of the idea behind it, and the tech just wasn't quite there yet for what the Switch would eventually be.
I mean, at least it almost feels like damning with faint praise. Like I get it, I get what you're going at, but it also just reminds me, it's like the Virtual Boy walked so the 3DS could run. Is the type of
I
thing.
mean, to be fair, I do love my Wii U. It had an amazing library of exclusives. I don't miss it now that I'm playing on Switch, but I mean, I'll
Right.
defend the. Hey, look.
I
Wii U is what
enjoyed the
gave
Wii U
us-
at the time. I played,
Yeah.
well, maybe it's because of where I worked, but I played the Wii U a lot back in the day.
Yeah, same.
Same. I played a ton of my Wii U. Yeah.
My Wii U got more mileage, and I wasn't with you guys, so my Wii U got more mileage than my PS4 or my Xbox One did. And it was, I was working at Nintendo Life. I was writing for other places as well, but it was still kind of more hobbyist in nature. So my Wii U was still my go-to console. I had just had my first kid, and so it was easy for me to pick up the gamepad and play games on that. While I was holding her or doing something with her, and let other people use the TV, or even as she grew, when she was a toddler, like I could put whatever inane kid stuff she wanted to watch on the TV, and I could play games on the gamepad, and I loved that system for that. And I mean, granted, the Switch much more nicely fills that role today. I can just undock the damn thing and play it.
Pac-Man 99 is kind of perfect for when I'm holding Kai and he's asleep in my arms. It's like, okay, I don't have to do much, don't have to worry about much, just focus on that. Perfect.
Hey, you know what? Wii U will always be the console that debuted Mega Man and Smash on console. So I'm always going to love the Wii U for that. Alone, let alone so many other things.
There is one thing that we're all ignoring that the Wii U did better than the Switch. And that is, it failed better than
eShop?
the Switch.
Failed better than the Switch.
The Virtual Console, man, yeah.
Virtual Console.
I don't know what happened to Nintendo. They're like, oh, we have a good console. We don't need old games now. But goddamn, I was able to get both the Wii and the Wii U, virtual consoles on that console, and it was so good. It also is
the other.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, the other side of that, though, was that the quality of the emulation, though, on Virtual Console Wii U was actually pretty terrible compared to even the 3DS, but especially the Wii.
But
so that was a step down. But you did have that library accessible.
Yeah, I was gonna say, though, it is better than nothing, which is what we have now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, I like it for that. I still remember. Because I didn't pick up a lot of stuff on Virtual Console on the Wii U. There's a few things here and there, but just not a lot. But I remember thinking, as the Switch was coming out and seeing it being portable like this, like, oh, I'm going to buy so many Virtual Console games. And then it never came out. Like, I planned to buy a lot of these games, probably again, just because, I could play them portably now. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then it never happened.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just that Nintendo got gun shy. They're like, man, are we really going to ask these people to buy these games for the fourth time? People are going to be pissed. And I'm like, for once, just be the arrogant Nintendo we know you're capable of being and sell them to me again. I'll buy them again. This is the perfect console for this. If you can tell me I can have everything from NES all the way up to the Switch on a portable device, I'd be in heaven, man. I would
Yeah.
There is not a price I would not pay for access to those titles.
Get those virtual consoles that were on the Wii, the 3DS, and the Wii U all on there so we can enjoy it in the same way. And
well, remember the 3DS also had it had Game Gear and had there were
Exactly.
so many different. The Wii had TurboGrafx 16. There were so many different consoles covered in Virtual Console, right, across
the Wii
all
was
these
how
different platforms.
I first discovered Gunstar Heroes.
Right. Yeah. And then as you were saying, Steve, they get to the Switch, and then it's only when they get to the perfect device to be able to have all these games on that they change course. And it's so frustrating.
What the hell? And I would easily pay more for them on the Switch than I would have on those previous, because I could take them with me. And
Right.
oh god. And
the thing is, Ditto M, maybe the VC sales weren't there, possibly, but it was also on a console that didn't really do that well. So how do you decide on that?
I mean, and Nintendo has just inched so close to just being having the perfect platform for this. I mean, we have Switch style NES controllers. We have Switch style Super NES controllers, and I own both of those. And if you put out Sega Master System and gave me a stupid Sega Master System controller to throw on there, I'd buy it again. I don't care that all the other ones work. Just to have this close approximation of what it was like to play them back in the day on this portable machine that I could just take to a friend's house and share my retro library. Come on, Nintendo! You did so much right this generation so far, but the one alley-oop, the easiest thing you could have done, you just decided not to. I mean, this was one of their main points that Nintendo fans had against Sony and Xbox in the last two generations. We were like, oh yeah, well, we got retro games out the ass. We've got everything we could ever want. You're over there with your shitty indies. I mean, Nintendo fans had that one thing in the console wars against the fanboys of other platforms, and Nintendo's just yeah, never again. we're gonna give you a subscription service where we drip feed bad NES games once every month and a half.
I mean, it is worth, I guess, in the interest of fairness, it's worth pointing out that the NES and SNES Online libraries have grown to a pretty decent degree, and they've got some great titles in there.
They have, but it's also
true,
one of those things where it's
so
just
much better.
It's not even once a month anymore. It'd be fine if we were getting, it's a drip feed, but give us a consistent drip feed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and as folks in the chat are pointing out, the Wii U had GBA, it had DS. Thanks, hey, it's Dingo, Danilo Imini. I mean, there were so many platforms that were covered in various virtual console iterations that are just not here, and it doesn't seem as though that's really going to change. Maybe we'll get another system or another console covered in Switch Online at some point, but. Yeah, although to be fair though, Ditto M does point out he says maybe the VC sales weren't there. Was VC popular outside of the dedicated Nintendo fan base? And
that's what I mentioned before about how we don't know because it was on Wii U. Who knows how it would do on a more popular console?
And the other thing to just point out is that this doesn't require lots of effort. This is not, these are games that are already made, emulators that are already written. You just need to make them available for purchase. And so it's
right.
I don't understand, even if it was not a huge seller, it's not like a lot of R&D or money went into putting them up there for people to buy. I honestly, at this point, I just wish all the people outside of Nintendo that had great NES, SNES, N64 games, just port them yourself, man. I'll buy them.
Yeah.
Just write a
look
damn
at
emulator.
the Mega Man
M2.
Legacy collections. People buy those.
Yeah, man. I snap up games on the Switch far more readily than I do on any other platform. I will buy a Mega Man X2 collection or a Mega Man X collection Part 2 if it's on sale for $3 off, and there's not a single good game in that collection. But I'll buy it because
there's one
it's portable.
decent game in there.
It's the impulse value of the Switch. It can't be denied. It's one of those platforms where you'll see something on the eShop and you're like, I might want that portably eventually. So you just buy it.
Yeah, Ditto M points out that it did take over a year for even a Link to the Past to come to the Wii U Virtual Console. That we might be a little too kind to it, and it's less about the Wii U Virtual Console specifically, and more that we just missed the concept of Virtual Console across all of its platforms. But I agree, in terms of Virtual Console, the Wii U was by far, I would say, the worst implementation of that service that we've seen.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, that was a wild tangent because we went from 3D World sales to the Wii U to Virtual Console. So let's just stay on this Nintendo track and for our next topic and bring that up. So, Shuntaro Furukawa has said that Nintendo's future is focused on new IP and staple series. So, cool if you're looking forward to new things from Nintendo. Not so great if you want them to work on things that are not Mario and Zelda.
Yeah, that's... From a business standpoint, I get where they're coming from or where he's coming from, but so many of us want to see, we want to see a new F-Zero game, man. We want to see a new Star Fox, and that, at least if you take, Furukawa's words on their face, it doesn't seem as though Nintendo have any interest at all in leaning on series like that, or keeping those, smaller Nintendo series alive going forward. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean that everything's canceled, of course, but it just doesn't seem as though we can look forward to Nintendo really trying to dig deep into their lesser known IPs going forward.
Yeah, I'm interested. I agree with Jason Ulo in the chat. His question is, so what does Nintendo count as a staple series? And I wonder the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
there's
that's
the
the big
obvious
debate.
Choices, Mario, Zelda, the big hitters, Pokemon. Yeah, those are very clearly staple series. Smash Brothers, right? Like Smash is a staple
I think
series.
Kirby probably qualifies. I think Kirby sneaks in as well.
See, but then
After
beyond
that,
that, like,
though,
I mean, that
yeah.
I'm worried about Star Fox. I don't think Star Fox is necessarily a staple series. F-Zero is certainly not. Punch-Out is almost certainly not.
Metroid's kind of on that line.
Metroid kind of toes the line. If we didn't have pre-announced Metroid game or a pre-announced Metroid game in the pipeline, then I would be worried about Metroid too. Just because we haven't seen Samus in a while. So I guess the question is, what the hell is a staple franchise? Also, Nintendo, I love them, but I don't really think of them blowing out new IP very often. Like, a new IP from Nintendo, I feel like, is a rare occurrence.
Yeah, I mean, as this Video Games Chronicle article points out, over the past 20 years, their most significant original IP launches were Splatoon in 2015, and then before that, it was 9 years earlier, Wii Sports in 2006, and then Pikmin in 2001. So really only 3 major new IPs have been launched that I can think of in the past 20 years.
To be fair, we were talking about it. I would also categorize Splatoon as a staple at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that there's an interesting debate about amongst the chat here. I saw Andrew mention it. So, real question: why is this a new story? Nintendo is focusing on new IPs, but also following up on existing ones. That's a mutually exhaustive list of things they were already doing, and that's the thing. I guess it isn't really that different from what we've already known. Of course, they're working on new series. Of course, they're working on their staples. I think it's more the idea of, as Steve said, what is not their staples, and how do we go from there? Or do they consider that the games that are not staples new series, as in they're working on something new and not the staple? We don't know. There's a lot of language interpretation that can go on there.
Yeah,
I think it's more that the... Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, I do want to point out the chat. Yeah, I don't think ARMS is coming back anytime soon because of this.
Yeah.
I love ARMS, personally. I think it's a great game, but it definitely underperformed, and I can't see a sequel coming anytime soon. Also, Fire Emblem, for sure, is
Fire Emblem safe.
Fire Emblem counts. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Rhythm Heaven probably doesn't count as a staple series. Just guessing.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, this doesn't really read all that differently from what they've already been doing, but I think the news story is A, as you know, we've all been discussing what qualifies as staple and what doesn't, and B, Furukawa just putting kind of an official statement on the matter. That's kind of the angle here, but I agree. This doesn't at all fly in the face of what they've already been doing with the Switch for the past few years.
It's essentially just corporate speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it is hard to put a lot of weight into these because, one, executives are always going to provide carefully crafted, worded statements to ensure that their stock value doesn't go down when they open their mouth. And the other, because obviously he's not going to come out and be like, yeah, we're going to take a bunch of risks and we're just going to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks and maybe we'll make some money or
right.
maybe it'll crash and burn. I don't know. I'm Nintendo.
You know that you know that series that only sold 6 copies, but that has those really dedicated fans. We're catering to those 6 fans.
Yeah,
We're get those 6 people really happy, but. Which, hey, maybe that's the Famicom Detective Club, because who was really asking for that? Yet we're getting it. So you never know. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I know in my heart that Nintendo is just a business and they're out to make money, I do feel like they do a fairly good job of pleasing their fans, of giving the fans what they want. By and large. I mean, obviously you can never please everybody. There will be people out there that wonder why we haven't gotten like a new, oh God, I can't even think of
Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
Rusty 2.
Yeah.
Where's Rusty 2, man? Where's Rusty 2?
Yeah.
Where's the virtual console? But, you know, so you can't please all your fans all the time. But I think Nintendo, of all the major companies out there, they do the best job of recognizing what the fans are after and trying to give it to them in a way that makes sense. So take that as you will. I don't necessarily think it means the death of Star Fox or F-Zero, you know, I mean, though F-Zero kind of, but
it's already been dead.
Yeah. That's fair. But I still hold out hope that someday we'll see those series return. I think Star Fox will come sooner than F-Zero, but you never know.
And it's funny, Steve, because on one hand, I agree with what you're saying in terms that Nintendo, by and large, does a pretty good job of doing, you know, of trying to deliver what they think their fans want. On the other hand, Azran did just point out that they did just delist Mario 3D All-Stars and Mario 35 for no apparent reason. So I do agree with what you're saying.
Fire
on the
Emblem,
other hand, and Fire Emblem. So I don't know if that always applies, but I definitely...
here's a new F-Zero, but it's only available for a week. Go.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Which, to be fair, might get enough sales they can get a sequel. It's like, all right, they're actually into this. Maybe we'll do another sequel. You know, all right, 2 weeks is time.
By the way, speaking of Nintendo doing boneheaded things, I tweeted about this over the weekend, but I launched Mario 35 just to see what would happen. That game still... more than a week after its death, it still presents you with new daily challenges. Why would they do that? Just pouring salt in the wound. It's the meanest thing.
I just want one of the daily challenges to just say something like, "I can't believe you opened this."
Yeah.
Daily challenge: stop opening Mario 35. It'll never work again.
Yeah. Cry over Mario 35's death. One out of 1 completed.
You know, I do want to say this. I've been thinking about Nintendo's long-ignored franchises, specifically F-Zero. Why don't they just go the route of making like an SNES-style F-Zero game just to gauge interest? Like, put out not low. I don't want to say low effort, but put out something that is not costly for them to make from a development perspective, and just test the waters, man. I guarantee you, there's enough fervent fans that at least that effort would make them a boatload of money. Because I bet Nintendo doesn't see the value in like going full on AAA, producing like a high end racing game, but at the same time, I mean, it would cost them not a lot to make like an F-Zero 99, like Jason Uloa mentions, or something very simple, and then just
I just had the dumbest, but also kind of the dumbest idea that could actually work pretty well as far as Nintendo's forgotten franchises. Not even a franchise because it's only got a single game. Ice Climber would work pretty well as a 99 game. Trying to climb a mountain, an endless mountain, while you get things and send obstacles to your friends, to the people. Ice Climber 99 would actually work pretty well.
I could see that. Yeah. It's such a shame too, because like I know Nintendo are typically very protective of their IPs. They're very rarely do they farm them out to external developers. But as Jared Edinger points out, Shinan is chomping at the bit to make a new F-Zero game. Shinan being the indie developers who made Fast RMX and Fast Racing Neo. They are made for an F-Zero game. They basically have made F-Zero games already in a way. They just need to be given the IP, and it just sucks because Nintendo's not going to do anything with it, and they don't have to. It's their right not to do anything with it. But it's just if they're not, then why not just give these indie devs who have shown they have the chops to
they've done it before. Look at Cadence of Hyrule.
So, yeah, exactly.
It's weird to me that they would farm out Zelda to an indie before they do F-Zero.
Yeah.
Like,
and prior to that, they farmed Zelda out to Capcom. Like, they're willing to do it.
Well, to be fair, I mean,
Capcom's has a little bit more, yeah.
That's true, but I just mean but yeah, they're not an indie dev, of course. But I just mean if they've shown they're willing to do it under specific circumstances, and it's just, F-Zero's low risk because it's not as though it's one of their staple IPs, so it doesn't hurt them as much if it fails either. At least that's my armchair business 101 look at the whole thing.
I will say that I wish Nintendo would copy Sega in this respect. Like, Sega is great about just handing out its dormant IPs and letting other developers do stuff with it. I applaud Sega for that because we've gotten some amazing games out of that. I mean, we got Shenmue 3, which, okay, I know most of y'all hate it, but we also got
Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage 4. We got Monster Boy. We've got, just some
Alex
incredible
Kidd
stuff. Alex Kidd is coming. Yeah.
They're getting a new one. Yeah.
I mean, I wish Nintendo would be a little more, and I understand why they're not. Nintendo is famously litigious. No one's ever going to change Nintendo. But I really wish that, these developers that they trust enough to give early access to Switch to make launch titles for their console would be trusted enough to take an IP that they're just not doing anything with and make a new entry. I mean, I don't need Nintendo to develop an F-Zero. I just need someone to develop an F-Zero.
Right.
I mean, we got that the whole fans are kind of making their own Star Fox essentially because then going to the SNES style now.
All right,
so there's a lot of Kickstarter games for that type of gameplay. So
I have to talk about that for just a sec because I've played it.
Nice.
I don't love it. I'm really sad that I don't love it.
That's too bad.
So I mean, but I will give them this. It is early access, and that's really important to remember. So it's basically in beta, right? But there's no boost, there's no break. Barrel rolls feel a little weird. The shooting mechanic, like there's no charge shot, there's no bombs. It just feels like a very, very bare bones experience. It is very clearly, even in the first level that I played, trying to emulate the original Star Fox. But there's something about it that just feels off. Like, it feels wrong. And I wish that they could fix it. I don't know if they can, but right now it's just you play it and all you can think about is how different it is from Star Fox. I think it's because they hew just a little too close to the original where the differences are very pronounced.
I feel like there's another one too that was out because I don't know if that I heard good things about another one. They had a whole Kickstarter thing and released a demo that
this for those of us
treated
watching,
pretty well.
I'm talking about Whisker Squadron.
Squadron. There was another game,
fixed, but
let me see if I could find it. It's been a hot minute since it came out, so I'm seeing if I can find it here. Here we go. EX Zodiac.
Interesting. Okay, I haven't
look
tried
up that one. That one's looking pretty good too. Looks a little bit more solid.
Let's take a look. EX Zodiac.
Oh, this is the one I think I was thinking of, actually.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. I didn't realize. I forgot about the whole Whisker Squadron thing.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit. This looks amazing.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go, Steve. We just got to point you in the right direction.
What the hell? Okay, I'm playing this.
Whisker Squadron. I don't think I've ever even seen Whisker Squadron. The one I was thinking of all along during this conversation was EX Zodiac.
Oh, man. This looks incredible.
And they hit 50,000 pounds of their 20,000 pound goal. So it's coming eventually.
Well, go download. Yeah. I just clicked download on the demo right now. So I will be checking this out. I'll report back on the next episode of TNT if EX Zodiac scratches that Star Fox itch. But unfortunately, Whisker Squadron has potential, but it's not quite there yet. I would recommend holding off on that one until there's
the logo kills me for Whisker Squadron since it's so clearly Star Fox. Clearly evoking that. It's funny.
Of course.
Whisker Squadron feels like it is trying to be a Star Fox remake, and I think that's what makes the differences shine in a really unfortunate way.
Well, speaking of classic games, another one's about to hit soon. Put that up here.
Right.
The original Shantae is coming to the Switch. We finally have a release date, and it is hitting on April 22nd. Not that far away. Basically next week, or now a week and a half.
Right.
So, yeah.
Which is cool.
It's cool. It's great, especially because can be kind of rare, and who knows how long the 3DS Virtual Console will be around. So, plus, be a little easier to play this than on your 3DS.
Yeah, it's also remarkably well animated for a Game Boy Color game.
It was a very late
It is.
Game Boy Color. I think it was like just before the GBA came out.
Okay. Yeah, I missed this on the Game Boy Color. I didn't play a lot of Game Boy until the GBA came out, but I'm watching the trailer now, and damn, this is pretty impressive.
This is much more of a Metroidvania than a lot of them, and it's one of those where it's rough around the edges. It is definitely rough around the edges. It feels like a first game. It's fun, but it is a little rough. Like this really is only there for the classic, people who want to have the entire Shantae series there. You could pretty easily start with Risky's Revenge and be fine. Because
and what's cool about this? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Rob Arman X was the one to initially post this in the newsroom in our server. And he specifies that this version, of course, has the GBA enhancements. And apparently, though, that's the first time since the original release that those have been available. Mm-hmm. So I don't think any other re-release of the first Shantae up until now has had the GBA enhancements accessible, which is a really cool addition.
Yeah,
nice.
There's a lot of love being put in this, and as also been mentioned, the entire Shantae series is now playable on the Switch.
Right. Yeah, that does. Yeah, because Risky's Revenge Director's Cut's already on there. So, yeah, that makes, all 5 games are here now. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a good series, and it was one of those series I heard. I guess I first heard about because it was like there was this late Game Boy Color game that came out that apparently was really good. But now it's super rare because it was such a limited release and it was too late. Because this was published by Capcom initially, of all things.
Oh, right.
And it was like, dang, I missed it. And then we got the sequel. We got Risky's Revenge, but that was a DSi-only sequel. It's like, I don't have that, so can't really do that. I think I got Risky's Revenge when it came out on mobile. I was so interested in trying that series. That's when I first experienced it. I got it on my cell phone when they released it on the Apple thing. And it controlled fine. I didn't beat it because I hated the controls, but I was like, okay, I saw the personality. So it is really cool to see all this.
The original Shantae, I would say, holds up. It definitely is rough, as you were saying, compared to some of the best in the series, like Pirate's Curse. Like, if you're going back to the first game from Pirate's Curse like I did, definitely be prepared for an understandable dip in quality, I would say, but that doesn't mean that the original Shantae's bad. Like, it holds
if you got
up
it at the
day.
time, I'm sure it was a kind of mind-blowing in a way.
Exactly.
So,
yeah,
cool stuff. Neat, neat blast from the past if you want to check it out yourself, and coming very soon. So, yep. But time for a different kind of PSA. Go ahead and put up that topic. So, I've been working on chronicling some of the games that you might want to pick up on the PSN before the PS3, PSP, and Vita eShops, just shops close. There's other things apparently got to keep track of too, because people have discovered that various PS3 game updates are no longer available. So if you haven't patched your games, you're going to want to do that. Go through and patch your PS3 games and see if they're still available, which I don't even know how you figure that out.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good question. They're saying it's really, really scattershot with what games have lost patches and which ones have them. In the original thread, they mentioned like one game didn't have any patches, but then the Game of the Year version of it did. Like, just a very weird criteria for how these patches are getting pulled off of the PSN.
And some are only for EU, some are only for Japan, some are only for North America.
Well, and as our very own dear friend John Cartwright also points out, that this really sucks for online games that gate access unless you're on the latest patch. And he points out that Tekken Tag Tournament 2 is one of the games that seems to have already lost updates. So we're literally like losing the ability to play games we already own or that you may want to own in the future, because they're just pulling the ability to patch PS3 games. Sony just continues to God, this sucks.
Yeah, this is... This is the way you encourage piracy.
Unfortunately.
It's an erasure of history. I mean, we're losing
Yeah.
games that existed on solely on these platforms. It sucks. They're and in a broader sense, it feels like they're taking something away from people that they've paid for, which
Yeah.
I have no nice words for that. That is a very difficult thing to defend. It's indefensible. It's gross. It sucks. I just don't understand why. I understand pulling down the store, at least in terms of business logic. Like, oh, we want people buying PS5 games or at minimum PS4 games. It's time to move on. But not letting people re-download shit they bought, or even hobbling the ability of
that's the thing,
physical games to get updates.
They announced to be able to re-download the stuff you've already bought. It's just so it's weird you're not allowing the patches to be there.
Yeah, that's where it deeply confuses me and frankly upsets me quite a bit. It's unethical, really. Like, why would you?
I agree.
Why would you do this? How is this the right way to handle anything? And also, the fact that they're doing it without communicating anything.
Right. It's just
anyone.
like done.
Yeah. Yeah,
Here
I mean,
today, gone
as
tomorrow.
you said, Steve, I agree with you. There is a certain amount of business sense that it does make to shut down the older stores, even though I still don't agree with it. I can at least justify that in my mind, but there's no justification for locking people out of things they've already purchased, and out of the full use of hardware they've already purchased. It's not just about the games, like it's about the system that these games are tied to as well. And now you're losing functionality of a piece of hardware you've bought into as well. And I know there are people out there who will say, well, the PS3 came out X many years ago, get over it and move on. But that's still your PS3. You still put money into that, and I think you should be able to still continue to play it as you will.
I have my NES. I can pop in my NES games if I want to and play them just fine.
Exactly.
Granted, I might have to clean the things a little bit, but that's age and whatnot. That's just the limitations. We're at the point now that these limitations shouldn't be there, shouldn't matter, and they're finding ways to make it just like the dream of a lot of these companies is to sell you things, but have you not actually own it. And that is a sick line of thought that we're going rapidly approaching.
The thing that I find most disturbing about this, I mean, okay, say what you will about digital games, right? Digital games go away, stores close down. People have long mentioned that this is a fear, that when your digital purchases will be rendered moot after X number of years. I get that. There's a through line there that makes sense. But, I mean, not being able to apply critical patches to physical games that you own, that you have on physical media, you can Metal Gear Solid 4 received a massive patch that removed the requirement to basically reinstall the game between discs. And if that goes away, you're stuck with a hobbled version of the game that takes a lot longer to load and install than otherwise would be true. But, I mean, I guess I just don't understand, man. If I can get patches still for Windows XP, which was already gone by the time the PS3 hit the market, I should be able to get patches for my PS3 games. That's all I'm saying. It seems weird to me. It doesn't cost Sony tons of money to host these patches. It doesn't cost Sony tons of money to host the store, which I've talked about at length. But I mean, this is just bullshit. 100%.
Well, there's a running list of games, of PS3 games that are currently unable to get patches on the PSN Profiles website. And I'm looking through it right now. These aren't just like no-name games nobody's ever heard of. We're talking about games like Battlefield 4, Castlevania Lords of Shadow, Dark Void, Dead Nation, Ghostbusters the video game, Little Big Planet Game of the Year Edition, SOCOM, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike Online Edition, Soul Calibur 4, Tekken Tag 2, as John pointed out. This is messed up, man. This is just, these are and these, of course, vary by region in terms of patch availability. But we're talking about disc versions of some of these games, too. This isn't just digital. Some of those games I just read off, we're talking about the disc versions of those games can no longer be patched in various regions. There's no defense for this. There just isn't. And Sony continues to dig themselves deeper. And unfortunately, what sucks is no matter what they do, they can do this all day because people are going to keep buying PS5s and people are going to keep buying Sony's games as long as they keep making great, publishing
that's
great games.
And
And
the thing, there is a subset of fans who do not care about old games. They just don't care. They'll sell off their old stuff and not worry about it and just get the new stuff. But there's a legacy here. There's a wonderful legacy here that they're just sort of ignoring and denying and just sort of pushing under the rug. And I think that's what hurts, is that this is just like, who doesn't care about their own legacy?
One of the things that we talk about all the time on this show is preservation and how awful it is in the games space specifically. Like, games get lost to time, right? And now we're talking about the fact that even if you have a physical copy of a game, you can't get it the way it was, like its final form, right? Unless they had printed another disc, which is so rare in these cases, unless they'd printed another disc with the updates on the disc.
It doesn't happen.
So we're just completely out of luck here, and it's ridiculous to me. It's deeply unfortunate that even if you went out of your way and spent the money and bought a physical copy of a game you love, you might not be able to play it the way it was finally intended to be played. And that just really rubs me the wrong way, man. And you're right, though, Derek.
Yeah.
People are going to buy PS5s. I've got one right here. You've got one in your room. Ash has one in his room.
Yeah, I have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is what it is. We are going to stick with the new stuff, but we also, there's a lot of great old stuff to play. That's why I'm making those lists. There's like, this is how much it's going to cost. And, at some point, emulation becomes an idea, especially when, hey, I own, I don't know, Darksiders or whatever. Pick a game. And I don't have the update anymore to make it run really well. Well, I own it, so I guess I'm okay with emulating it.
Yeah.
That's usually the idea.
Past a certain point. I mean, these updates, I hate to say it, but someone out there has backed these up in a I'm going to be charitable and say in a gray market fashion. But if that's the only way you can enjoy some of these, I mean, I've said it before, if a company does not give you a legitimate means to purchase a product, what other choice do you have? I can't condemn someone who downloaded a game that they literally could not get any other way. I don't feel,
without
feel
breaking
like
the bank, or even if you do break the bank and get this, you might not get the version you want because it's gone.
Yeah. So I don't feel bad if people start jailbreaking PS3s at this point. I don't feel bad if they download whatever their favorite game is, because it's just a fact that, I mean, Sony's removing their mechanism for you to get this in a legal, fair way. So what avenue is left?
Right.
Guess when music piracy started to really go down? It's when it's become really easy to buy music.
Yep.
Jacob Yu says this news story is actually due to a glitch in the store. They'll probably be back later, but I'm not comfortable believing that they'll probably be back later. That may be true, but given what Sony has been... Yeah, we hope they'll be back later, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is intentional. I mean, so I think the fact that, or the idea that this is due to a glitch is still, if I'm not mistaken, speculative. And we'll obviously report on it if it does turn out to be a glitch, and we'll talk about how thankful we are that we aren't losing access to all these games and these games can no longer be patched. But unless and until that happens, I'm not ready to assume that this isn't. That this is just the result of a glitch. I don't believe that necessarily.
I would like to assume that Sony would do the right thing here, but they're shutting down the store, so I can't assume they're going to do the right thing. That being said, I could see, because we all know that the PS3 era Sony infrastructure was a mess. I mean, they got taken down for what, months? because they got hacked that bad. So I could see that potentially, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, that they stored some updates for games on servers that they have now taken down, and that they, if they care, which again, that's a big leap to make, would copy those onto whatever server is going to handle the brunt of the PS3, post closure PSN. I hope that happens, but like Ash said, I'm not going to hold my breath for that. I'm not going to hold my breath for Sony to do the right thing here. They know people hate this, and they don't seem to care. They haven't responded to it at all, and I don't think they're going to. So,
yeah, I mean, as long as PS5s are selling out before people can even line up to buy them, they're not going to care. Because why do they need to? What reason do they have to care about what the hobbyists are saying, really? Because they're still selling out PS5s as soon as they can release, sometimes even before they can be release them to be available, because they're just snapped up by bots. So, what motivation do they have to care about this? Unfortunately, the answer is none.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and talk about our last story. Bring that up for here. So Epic is reportedly set to lose at least $330 million from competing with Steam, but Tim Sweeney is actually considering that an investment and doesn't seem bothered by the fact that they're going to lose that amount of money. Basically, they've been pouring money into the Epic Game Store, getting a bunch of exclusives and stuff like that, plus removing themselves from the Apple Store. I guess affected things. And it's just one of those things where it's who knows it goes there, going to go on there. But according to predictions made by Apple themselves, the Epic Store will not see any profitability until 2027 if it continues to operate the way they are now. He just, and of course Tim Sweeney's like, no, we're cool with this, but I think that might be just, I can almost read that as like, no, I don't, it's like, Apple said that, screw them, I don't believe them. We're fine.
This goes back to what we were talking about Shuntaro Furukawa earlier. Like, no CEO is going to get into an interview and be like, oh shit, oh fuck, like things are so bad. How did we get here? Like, they're not going to do that in an interview, right? Like, every CEO is going to puff up their chest and be like, we expected this $330 million loss and it's fine. It's fine. I'm not drinking. We're fine. Like, that's just what they do, right? Like, no CEO ever comes out and goes, you know what, guys, I really screwed up and I made a bad choice. Not unless it's like a sex scandal. Otherwise they tend to paint a very rosy picture of their predicament most of the time. That being said, I mean, these guys have Fortnite money. So I'm not really like
I'm not too concerned about them.
Yeah, I do believe that they're like $330 million, okay. All we gotta do is roll out a new skin. I mean, I firmly believe that they are fortunate enough to be in a position where Fortnite is just keeping the lights on, and I could see this. I think that they have this grand design of supplanting Steam, right? Of toppling Valve, and they're spending the money they think it'll take to get them there. It's not working, but they clearly think
it usually just
how they do it.
Really upsets people.
Yeah.
Nobody's happy when they like a game is an Epic Game Store exclusive.
Oh no.
Also, given how difficult things are for people right now, just to hear Tim Sweeney say, "Oh, $330 million bucks—that's an investment. No big deal." It's like $1 million could make such a massive difference in so many people's lives.
$1 million put between the three of us,
right?
Would be like change
and it's just
things.
so to hear that, it just makes me. I mean, I know we're kind of comparing apples to oranges because the Epic Game Store is I know, right? Apples to oranges. They're their business. They have all this money to play with. It's just it leaves a bad taste in my mouth to hear Tim Sweeney, who I dislike for other reasons besides this, but to hear him just say 303 million, no biggie, whatever. Right. I'm still going home with a fat paycheck, so
I'm looking at this GameIndustry.biz article on it, and they mentioned a report by IGN that showed that players spent $700 million on the Epic Store in 2020. But only $265 million of that was spent on the third-party games exclusive to it. And remember, just for Remedy's Control in 2019, they spent $10 million securing that PC exclusivity. So,
jeez,
it seems like that kind of investment is not actually helping them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think what they expected was that they would become a destination based on these exclusives, but it's just not working out that way. What they are doing is lining the pockets of developers, both large and small, which cool. I'm happy the developers get this money, but it hasn't done much to raise their profile. And I'll be honest, I don't know how they would raise their profile at this point. Like, I don't know what the strategy is.
I mean,
to get people
Steam's
to
so
like
ubiquitous. And say what you will about Steam, it has its own problems, but
the thing is, as a storefront, Steam's fine. I like Steam. I don't have issues finding stuff there. It's huge. There's a ridiculous amount of stuff in there, but I mean, they have great sales. But I look at Steam as just a store. I don't look at it as a platform. I just look at it as like the Walmart of digital video games. I go there to find good deals on shit I would probably buy somewhere else anyway. And I'll be honest, I just have Epic because, one, I have to have it for Fortnite, and I do play Fortnite from time to time, and two, man, there's like free games on there sometimes. I'm not going to turn down a free game, but it also doesn't give me any incentive to go spend money. It's just a place where I can get a game for free every month, which, cool. Sorry, Epic. Like, I don't care about anything else you do. But if you keep giving me free games, I'll open the app once a month for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd thing, and it's one of those. It feels like every time we get news on Epic, it's like, that's interesting. Really don't care about them though. Like there's never a horse in that fight.
Yeah.
Whoever they're going against, it's like, oh, it's Epic versus Apple. Don't care who wins. Oh, it's Epic versus Steam. Don't care who wins. It's always like the mega corporations where it's like whatever.
It's weird because they're constantly in some kind of drama, but I don't like them. So I'm indifferent to their plight. Like, it's really hard for somebody who is a multi-billionaire or whatever to be complaining in the media about their treatment. Like, I'm like, I don't feel bad for you. You could buy everything I own and not notice it on your bank statement. Get fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
it is literally outside of my ability to feel any sort of sympathy for people like Tim Sweeney, just because they have so much money and will always have. I mean, they're fine. He's set for life. And good for him, but I don't really want to hear you complaining about money because you have way more than I probably ever will.
To be fair, he did not complain about money. He just sort of
Oh yeah, no, I'm going back to the Epic versus Apple thing for Scuff 196. That lawsuit is still ongoing, which is what this story came from.
Yes, according to this, the trial is scheduled to take place on May 3rd.
I'll be curious to see how that goes, because I certainly am not on, I don't take corporations' sides or anything. I'm not like pulling for Apple to win or anything, but I do think that the case Epic is trying to make in that fight is a bit tenuous and maybe not great, but we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, it is weird for them to say, filings in this case so far have revealed that Epic had this planned all along. Like, they knew what they were doing. They planned it out, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna really stick it to this other corporation because we want more money. Like, it just seems like there's no winner in this case. We're all the losers in this case.
Oh, yeah.
But
we're all,
I agree with you, Ash, that
it's the Godzilla and the King Ghidorah, and we're just a little people getting crushed.
Yep, pretty much. I don't understand people. And this is true outside of this situation, but I don't understand people that stand for a company. Like,
me, neither.
They're
not your friends.
Yeah, I love my video games. I love my PlayStation. I love my Switch. All of them do stupid shit from time to time.
Yeah.
There is not a single developer out there, I don't think, that has not made a boneheaded move or something kind of anti-consumer or something like that. There's all of them are out there just Yeah.
Regardless of what you think, like, companies don't care about you. They care about your money. They're not your friends. You don't have to stick up for them. They're never going to notice you. It's fine. Like, Nintendo has never once flown me to Miyamoto's house and let me have breakfast with him for talking about how much I love Mario. Still hasn't happened. Been doing it for 30 years. So until I have French toast sticks across from Miyamoto in his own living room, I'm not going to believe that Nintendo loves me.
Right.
In case you're listening, Nintendo, that's the bar.
That's the bar.
Not review copies, not review consoles.
So here, Adam Davis, what about Toby Fox? You notice you're saying one name in that, right?
Yep, not a corporation. That's just
not a corporation. Exactly.
So, but I think with that, we've covered all the major headlines from today's news. And of course, before we sign off, we have to give a special thanks to all of our patrons, big and small, but especially those at the producer tier for helping to make this show happen. In addition, a massive, massive thank you to our patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those fine folks include Jared Edinger, Brandon Bovia, Rob Arman X, Dan Inchwhistle, Z Patty, Hyrule Hermit, Sky Blue Flames, Adam O'Sullivan, Richard Herrera, Michael Phone, Floating Mew, Aiko Carroll, Christopher, The D-Pad, Vesmio, Waffle King, Nick Waterman, Kitty Kong Fax, Angel Martinez, Vedran Hutik, Makalau, John, Joshua Hunter, Evernight Studio, Benny Yao, Azran127, Kenruleo9, Jake Pelka, Geller, Joseph Rutkin, Titus Malvolio, Charlie Bird, Lucky Wonderfish, Top Dog 23100, Young Ben Kenobi, Douglas Chomix, Andrew Medeiros, Orem M, Patrick Harrison, Becca, Rocks the Cat, Fizzy Wigoid, Flaming Highwayman, Sean Garrett, The Legend of Groose, Eddie B, Kai Ed, Kit Fisto, West Egg, Master Links, Sean Davis, Deaneth, Jackson Jordan, Michael McCall, Matthew Wong, Ashish Joshi, Goron Amber, Straightlace, Hoobie, Wolf X Blake and Moon Macarons, Kane, Captain Finlandia, 60 Minutes and 60 Seconds, The Game Orb, Dano the Artist, Synchro Lord, Brainchild, Rosa Bowling,
Hi, Mom.
Scuff 196, Skull Kid Tiger, AJB Cool, Jason Uloa, Jaden Buck, Phantom Project, Wheezy Penguin, and Anthony Wilson Jr. Thank you all so much for all your support. It really does mean so much to each and every one of us here. Warms our hearts. But remember that you too can become a patron over at patreon.com/gvgaming, where you can watch today's News Tonight live for as little as $5 a month. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Good Vibes Gaming for more good times like these. And until next time, good night and good vibes.
Bye everybody.
Bye.